Hare Krishna, summary of Canto 3, Chapter 21. Conversation between Manu and Kartama. Vidura had further enquiries from Maitreya about the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu. So he asked Maitreya, please describe about the glorious dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu whose progeny multiplied through procreation. How did Priyavrata and Uttanapada protect the earth with its 7 islands? Please describe about Manu's famous daughter Devahuti who got married to Kartama Prajapati. How many offsprings did that great yogi have? How did Ruchi and Daksha generate children after marrying the other two daughters of Swayambhuva Manu, Akuti and Prasuti? So Maitreya first described the descendants of Devahuti and Kartama. For that, he first told the story of Kartama. Commanded by Brahma to produce progeny, Kartama, who was the son of Brahma, performed austerity for 10,000 years. And Kartama, by worship through his devotional service and trance, he worshipped the Lord and he surrendered to the Lord. The Lord became very pleased and showed his beautiful form, which can be understood only through the Vedas. Kartama saw the effulgent Lord who looked like the sun, garlanded with white lotuses and water lilies in yellow silken garments, and his lotus face was surrounded by dark locks of hair. He was adorned with a crown and wearing beautiful earrings. He was holding Shankha Chakra Gada and white and lily, having a smiling face and captivating all his devotees. Endowed with the Srivatsa and the Kaustubha, he stood in the air with his lotus feet placed on the shoulders of Garuda. Kardama, seeing this beautiful lord, became joyful and he felt all his desires were fulfilled. With natural love for the Lord, he offered his obeisances with folded hands and prayers. Kardama began to pray to the Supreme Lord. He said, my eyes have become successful just by seeing you. You are indeed the reservoir of all existences. Advanced yogis practicing yoga for many births aspire to see your form. Your lotus feet can take one across the ocean of mundane science, but less intelligent worship those feet to achieve cheap material things. But you are so kind that you bestow your mercy even upon them. I am also like them. Though I criticize such people, I have also worshipped you, the great desire tree, actually just desiring to marry a girl of a like disposition who can fulfill my desires of married life. I am bound by the instructions of Brahma, and these instructions of Brahma are in turn coming from your direction to create progeny. You are the master of everyone, including Brahma, and under your direction, everyone is bound by a rope, and we are engaging, satisfying our desires. Persons who have given up these stereotypical worldly affairs and the followers of such affairs have actually taken shelter of your lotus feet, and they engage in discussing Krishna Katha, which is very, very sweet and intoxicating. Time does not affect these devotees. Although it cuts short the lifespan of the entire creation, uh, this time doesn't really affect the actions of devotees. This time has Brahman as the axle, 13 months, 12 months Adhikamas as spokes, 360 days and nights as the joint 6 seasons, as the rim, unlimited seconds as the edges, 3 groups of 4 months as the nave, and moves with great velocity. You alone are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of all these universes, and through your Yoga Maya, just like how a spider creates a cobweb by its own energy and winds it up, you create this universe and destroy it. Although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation just for our sensual satisfaction. Yet your causeless mercy is so much there on us that you have appeared by your own eternal form with shining wreath of tulsi leaves. My obeisances unto your lotus feet. Your lotus feet is the only thing that is worthy of taking shelter. You shower all benedictions on the insignificant people. To give detachment to all by realizing you, you have expanded these material worlds by your own energy. So, like this, addressed very sincerely by Kardama, the Lord smiled at Kardama with full of affection, and he began to speak to sage Kardama with words as sweet as nectar. Knowing the desire of your heart, I have already arranged for that which you have worshipped me, the Lord said. The desires of people like you who serve me in devotion are never frustrated. Swayambhuva Manu, who is well known for his righteous acts, living in Brahmavarta, rules the earth with its 7 oceans. The day after tomorrow, he will come here with his queen Shatarupa to see you. He has a grown-up, marriageable, beautiful and qualified daughter Devahuti. Her parents will come and deliver her to you as you are exactly suitable for her. She will just be the type that you have been thinking in your heart for all these years. She will soon be yours and she will serve you to your heart's content. She will bring forth 9 daughters from you, and through them the sages will duly beget children. With your heart cleansed by carrying out my instructions, offering all fruits of your acts to me, you will finally attain me. Showing compassion to all as a householder, then giving fearlessness to all as a sannyasi, you will perceive yourself and the universe in me and myself in you. I shall manifest my own plenary portion, Kapila Dev, through Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles, Tattva. The Lord, who reveals himself only when the senses are in Krishna consciousness, departed from Bindu Sarovar encircled by river Saraswati. The sage witnessed the Lord going through the pathway leading to Vaikunta and listened to the hymns forming the basis of the Samaveda vibrated by the flapping of the wings of Garuda. Kardama, waiting for the arrival of Manu, stayed on the bank of Bindu Sarovar. Swayambhuva Manu, along with his wife and daughter, traveling all over the earth, arrived at the hermitage of Kardama Muni on the predicted day. That holy lake was called Bindu Sarovar because it was mixed with the tears of the Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the surrendered sage Kardama. Filled with the waters of the river Saraswati, it was pure, auspicious, sweet, and worshipped by all the sages. The shore of the lake was surrounded by clusters of pious trees and creepers, rich in flowers and fruits of all seasons that afforded shelter to pious animals and birds. It was resounded with the notes of very overjoyed birds. Intoxicated bees wandered here and there, intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and a merry of cuckoos called one another. Bindu Sarovar was adorned by flowering trees such as Kadamba, Champaka, Ashoka, Karanja, Bakula, Asana, Kunda, Mandara, Kutaja, and many young mango trees. The air was filled with pleasing notes of beautiful birds and ducks and swans, waterfowls, cranes, chakravakas, and chakoras. Its shore was abounded with animals like deers, boars, porcupines, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, musk deer, and so on. Entering the ashram, Manu saw Kardama having just worshipped the Lord by the sacred fire, and he was pouring oblations into the sacred fire. Kardama's body was shining. He didn't look emaciated because of the Lord's affectionate glance that had fallen on him. And he had heard the nectarian words from the mouth of the Lord, so therefore he looked very, very effulgent. He had a tall body, he had lotus-like eyes, matted hair, and tattered cloth. This cloth appeared soiled, and he himself, he appeared very soiled because he was like an unpolished gem. Seeing that Manu was bowing down, Kardama Muni received him with all honor. Manu sat silently, remembering the Lord's words. Kardama began to address Manu. He told Manu, "You travel to protect the virtuous and kill the demons, since you embody the protecting energy of Lord Sri Hari. Whenever necessary, you assume the form of various demigods, such as the sun god, the moon god, Agni, Indra, Vayu, Yama, Dharma, and Varuna. All obeisances unto you. You are indeed a representative of Lord Vishnu." Manu is compared to different demigods because of exhibiting different qualities of the demigods, like majesty, like the sun, invincibility like fire, lordship like Indra, the capability of entering everywhere like Vayu, the ability to punish the sinful like Yama. He had the ability to protect the righteous like Dharma, and he had very very deep and hidden treasure like Varuna. So therefore, he embodied all the demigods. Then Kardama said, if you do not tour the earth like the sun with your chariot, bow, and army, the Varnashram system established by the Lord will be destroyed by the rogues. Irreligion will increase, and the unrighteous would be unopposed if you give up the thought of protecting this world. In spite of all this, why have you come here? Whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation. So, like this, Kardama spoke, looking at Manu, and this ends the summary of Canto 3, Chapter 21, Conversation between Manu and Kardama. Hare Krishna.